Drop testing of parachutes is done periodically and whenever necessary to determine a chute's airworthiness. To drop test an air chute, the pack is attached to a 170-pound steel plate or rubber dummy and placed in smooth metal troughs on either side of a plane. Then, at an altitude decided upon for a given test, the pilot pulls the cord which releases the chute and down it comes. These periodic tests are made all year around in all kinds of weather, under all kinds of flying conditions, for these air chutes must be failure-proof and positive in performance. Due to strict requirements in packing, failure of a chute to open is unknown today. The suspension lines of this chute were deliberately twisted in packing to demonstrate that when such body turns might occur, the lines will untwist. After the chutes have been drop tested and carefully inspected, they are wrapped in moisture-resistant paper and sent to the shipping room. And now these air chutes are being sent on their way to airfields all over the world. Their work done, the workers now head for home. Their work is the consummation of over 25 years' experience in scientific air chute development. Many hours of work on the part of these folks, long, rigid training, minute inspection, tasks performed by nimble fingers, and a thorough knowledge of their jobs. These are the things that make good air chutes. Our thanks go to these workers and other workers like them throughout the world who are doing such worthwhile work, and to the engineers and research workers whose efforts are responsible for these life preservers of the air. Irving Air Chutes are contained in packs of various forms and worn on different parts of the body to fit any person's requirements. This is a single-point quick-release harness with a quick connector chest pack. This same quick connector pack can be attached to a single-point semi-quick release harness, practically as fast as the previous type, but a bit more comfortable to wear. While in flight, only the harness need be worn. In the event of an emergency, it is only necessary to snap the pack onto the chest by means of its simple connecting procedure. The flexible backpack attached to the single-point semi-quick release harness provides an ideal parachute unit for any type of craft. It affords a maximum of maneuverability, being flexible, compact, and quite readily removable. Note how the pack conforms to the person's body in all positions. The canopy folds in the pack cannot shift out of place regardless of the wearer's body position. The pack is extremely thin and lightweight, cutting down the weight of an airman's parachute equipment. This three-point snap and V-ring type of harness is still manufactured by the Irving Company and worn by some airmen. This lad is equipped with a snap and V-ring harness. Consequently, he must overcome the drag from his chute before he is able to release himself. Using the Irving single-point quick-release harness, it is done like this. The Irving single-type point semi-quick-release seat-type parachute provides a comfortable pack and harness. Note that there is no difference in the makeup of this assembly from that of the snap and V-ring, except that it has that added safety feature of the Irving quick-release unit. A slight twist, a sharp tap on the dial, and the quick release is effected. Quite simple, isn't it? No special type of parachute or container is required. All standard types of parachutes are adaptable to the Irving quick-release harness. These demonstrations are all done with the semi-quick-release type harness. A single-point quick-release type harness, unlike the semi-quick release, needs no body motion to shake it loose. To further demonstrate what we mean, this is the single-point quick-release harness in operation, followed by the semi-quick-release harness. For certain types of seating arrangements, this pack is more suitable and comfortable to use. Notice how he gets into his ship and the comfortable position he assumes for piloting on short or long flights. The single-point semi-quick-release harness with the Irving flexible back parachute is rapidly becoming more popular with the average pilot because it affords him the maximum thinness and comfort ever to be had in this style of parachute. For a low-ceiling cabin plane, he gets into it rather freely and smoothly, without hindrances of any kind. That's why he prefers this type of chute. Note the free movement of arms and body in checking his instrument panel and preparing for flight. It also is as easy for him to get out of this cabin plane. He walks with ease from the ship. Note how the rounded pack corner slips off the wing strut as he passes under it, offering a minimum of resistance in his movements around the ship. The harness and pack comes off easily and are conveniently stowed in the seat of the ship. This man further demonstrates the comfort and maneuverability of the outfit by bending over to check his plane's tires. For passengers in modern cabin ships, the problem of instantly attaching air chute equipment to a person in a manner at once comfortable and convenient has been solved by Irving engineers and has been used for years. The equipment has been so designed that it adapts itself to all normal airplane chairs, blending nicely with style and color of seat covering. Meticulous care and skilled construction has produced an air chute installation which is so inconspicuous and occupies so little space that it appears to be nothing more than a comfortable back in the chair. The complete air chute with harness, pad, and chair fittings adds less than 20 pounds in weight. In normal flight, passengers are oblivious to the presence of the chair chute, which affords invisible protection for both passengers and pilots. Yet, if an emergency arises, they have a complete air chute instantly at hand, easily and quickly put on unassisted. If desired, however, the harness may be worn at all times while in flight, with perfect comfort and without disarrangement of clothing. These developments are in keeping with the prestige of Irving and its policy of aids to the advancement of aviation. Simplicity has been a watchword in its design. Chair chutes embody all the essential features of the standard chute that have been time-tried and service-proved all over the world. In 1919, at Buffalo, New York, a new industry was created, the manufacture of Irving Air Chutes. From a small beginning, its growth to worldwide proportions parallels the growth of aviation. Across the river in Fort Erie, Canada, is housed one of the worldwide branches of the Irving Air Chute Company. This and two other Irving plants serve all of Canada with the same high standards of material and workmanship as those adopted by its parent company. Testing of chutes is carried on in Canada under the same requirements as those existing in the United States. These men are members of the RCAF, or the Royal Canadian Air Force personnel. Their training and complete flying equipment are second to none. Their achievements compare with the reputation of the Canadian Mounties in policing the vast terrain of the Dominion. This is one of their huge training centers where you can see young pilots are carefully trained. Part of their training consists of the proper way to wear their parachute equipment and how to use it if the need arises. The snug and tidy fit of the harness on this pilot as he alights from his ship are apparent. Student pilots are daily making flights, and because of the large numbers of these trainees, parachute equipment must be of the type that can be transferred from one pilot to another. These students are closely watched over by instructors to see that, until such time as they are fully trained, every precaution is taken against accidents to them. Without first adjusting the harness, this student dons his parachute equipment, only to discover that it is much too large for him. The instructor who accompanied this trainee to his ship steps in to point out where he is lacking in adjustment and directs him to remove his chute for proper adjustment. Placing the chute on the wing of the ship, the instructor takes in the slack in the back strap by adjusting the metal fittings located there. Simplicity of design makes this readily possible. Satisfying himself that enough of the slack has been taken up, he then tucks the belt neatly under the retainer straps on the back of the pack. Adjusting the back straps was not all that his harness needed for proper fit. The leg straps were much too long, and these are quite easily adjusted as demonstrated by the instructor. The harness is now properly adjusted, and the instructor assists the student in donning his chute. A better fit is immediately in evidence as the student hooks up his harness. Much to his evident gratitude and satisfaction, the trainee now feels comfortable and secure in his harness. Following World War I, the government of the USSR began to take parachutes seriously. Numerous scientific tests were conducted, and parachutes from various parts of the world, including the Irving Air type, were compared. Even medical tests made prior to and following parachute jumps demonstrated the thoroughness with which these tests were made. The Irving chute, having demonstrated its superiority over all of the others, was selected as the chute to become standard equipment, and has remained in constant use by the government of the USSR. A commission representing the Soviet government visited the American plant of the Irving Air Chute Co. at Buffalo, New York. Their mission was to negotiate a contract, obtain a manufacturing license, study methods of manufacture, care and maintenance of Irving chutes, and acquire the necessary knowledge to train their own aviators in the use of these chutes. Ever since this period, early in 1930, Irving-type chutes have remained standard equipment in the USSR and are manufactured there with the same thoroughness and efficiency as elsewhere. This, then, is the story of how the USSR, the first country in the world to establish mass parachute jumps as a thrilling sport with resultant savings of thousands of lives during all kinds of weather and under the most severe conditions, has come to use Irving chutes as their standard life preservers of the air. This British plant, Irving Air Chute of Great Britain Limited, is located in Letchworth, Herts, England, a short distance from London. Here, the basic operations are the same as those in all other Irving factories in different parts of the world. How did this factory come into being, you ask? Well, you see, the British government, among the first to conduct thorough investigations of parachute equipment, made comparative tests and decided upon the Irving as the one chute embodying all of the 11 essential requirements. A large contract was placed in 1925 with the Irving Air Chute Co. of Buffalo, New York, in the USA for parachutes. Some of these were to be manufactured in Buffalo, New York. The remainder were to be made in a plant to be established in England by the Irving Company to fulfill future requirements of the British Air Ministry. This factory was the result. Now getting back to those 11 requirements. 1. It must be possible for the aviator to leave the aircraft regardless of its position when disabled. 2. The operating means must not depend on the aviator falling from the aircraft. 3. The parachute equipment must be fastened to the body at all times while in the aircraft. 4. It must not be complicated nor liable to foul easily and must not be susceptible to damage through any ordinary service conditions. 5. The chute must be of such size and so disposed as to give maximum comfort to the wearer and permit him to leave the aircraft with the least difficulty or delay. 6. It must open promptly and must be capable of withstanding the shock incurred by a 200-pound load falling at a speed of 300 miles per hour. 7. It must be steerable to a reasonable degree. 8. The harness must be comfortable and very strong and designed so as to transfer the shock of opening in such a manner as to prevent physical injury to the aviator. It must also be sufficiently adjustable to fit the largest and smallest persons. 9. The harness must be so designed that it will prevent the aviator from falling out when the parachute opens, regardless of his position in the air. And at the same time, instant removal of the harness must be possible when landing in the water or in a high wind. 10. The strength follow-through must be uniform from the harness to the top of the parachute, bearing in mind the old axiom that no chain is stronger than its weakest link. 11. The parachute must be so designed that it can easily be repacked with a minimum of time and labor. Yes, Irving Air Chutes meet these requirements, and that is why they were selected as standard equipment by the British Air Ministry, as well as over 40 other governments throughout the world. Minute and careful inspection of chute equipment to make certain that each man's harness fits him perfectly and that everything is in proper order is done by a group leader before the men go into the ship. In this group, there are 9 ships discharging their personnel, all done to a definite pattern. The colored canopies identify supplies which are carefully wrapped for dropping. These are too cumbersome to be carried by the men. That burst of canopies are cargo chutes being dropped to a specific spot. Another detailed showing of the simple preparation supervised by a flight director for a mass jump. Let's watch them in action. Note how snugly and well under the man the harness seat sling fits. Let's bring those 2 fellows back and take a closer look at that smooth-fitting harness.
Our pilots now know that if they have to bail out over the channel, the new Air-Sea Rescue Service is standing by to save them. High-speed launches in the harbors, reconnaissance aircraft in the coastal aerodromes. The efficiency of this service depends upon the watch kept in coastal areas by the Observer Corps, the Army sentries, the gun crews, and the Coast Guards. Even civilians out for a walk along the cliffs can help by their constant vigilance. Above all, speed is vital.
Naval 3, please.
Duty staff officer. 1. Parachute 180 Folkestone, 8 miles. Right. Stand by operations room, please.
Stand by operations room. Duty crash officer speaking.
HSL 122 146, 8 miles. Parachute reported.
Operations room calling. Operations room calling. HSL 122 146 and Mesby 24. Prepare to put to sea immediately. Over. Parachute reported down in sea. Lysander and fighter escort search area 180 degrees Folkestone, 8 miles.
Yes, I see. Hello. Coast Guard says he's lost sight of that dinghy. It's drifted out to sea.
Right, I'll get on to the observer corps and see if they've got a line on it.
Yes, we can just see him from here. 198 degrees Folkestone, 7 miles.
198 degrees Folkestone, 7 miles. Right. Pass that message to HSL 122.
Aye, sir.
HSL 122. HSL 122. Advice and over. Parachute is down in sea. 198 degrees Folkestone, 7 miles. 1937 hours. Over to you. HSL 122 calling HSL 146 Master 24. Break formation and make independent search. Over.
Is she flat out, Sergeant?
Yes, sir.
Irving Air Chutes are the foundation of a very unique organization known as the Caterpillar Club. Sponsored by the Irving Air Chute Company, it has grown by leaps and bounds. Typical of the men in the Caterpillar Club, we have the honor of presenting to you Mr. Richard Depew, Jr., who became a member in 1929. Mr. Depew.
How do you do? Yes, the Caterpillar Club is worldwide and exclusive, too. The dues are nothing, but the initiation fee is high. You see, in order to qualify for membership, your life must have been saved by a parachute in an emergency jump. That's what makes it exclusive, and that's why its membership is open to rich and poor alike. How did the Caterpillar Club get its name, and how did it originate? I'll tell you. Naturally, it gets its name from the caterpillars or silkworms, which we identify with silk from which parachutes were made when this club started, way back in 1922. At that time, after the first few airmen had saved their lives by the use of the new free-type parachutes, first tested by Mr. Leslie Irvin, they decided that they had a strong common bond. An association was formed and the name Caterpillar Club was chosen. Ever since then, it has been sponsored by the Irving Air Chute Company, who copyrighted the name and who have continued to send out the little gold Caterpillar Club emblems worn on the coat lapel. Today and every day, many letters are pouring into the offices of Irving Air Chute Company. These letters, containing bona fide evidence of lives being saved by parachutes throughout the world. Yes, these letters represent a stamp collector's dream, for they come from practically every country on Earth, and many are written in foreign languages. A systematic procedure is followed in awarding the pins and certificates. Many prospective members send along their photos with eligibility. Each letter is promptly acknowledged by the Home Office pending verification of the facts. Each gold embossed certificate is registered, and both pin and certificate are mailed by registered mail to the member who signs a return receipt. This procedure has been going on for many years, and the makers of Irving parachutes are to be commended for their interest and efforts. Now, of course, the archives are jammed full of many interesting and thrilling stories in connection with the experiences of members, but one fact above all must be remembered. The lives of these men were saved by a well-constructed parachute. And thanks to this dependable device, these men live to tell about their experiences that others might live and avoid disaster or possible death from causes which otherwise might remain unknown. For instance, all over the world, experimental test flights are continually taking place with new types of aircraft to make sure that they are thoroughly safe in every respect before going into general use. In connection with such experimental work, the lives of the technicians are safeguarded by reliable parachutes. This group of men are about to make an experimental flight with a military airplane. Intent upon obtaining the test data, any possible thought of disaster was far from their minds. But, owing to the very nature of experimental test flying, each man wore his parachute, fully confident that it would work if needed. Modern airplanes have achieved their fine safety record due to careful design and construction, and to the painstaking and thorough work of the experimental test crews. The plane caught fire and crashed, and this is all that was left of it. But what happened to the flyers? Right you are. Every one of the crew of 8 was saved by an Irving air chute, some having jumped at less than 500 feet. They are still alive to tell the story. Yes, lives have been saved in the landings of many kinds, in the water, in all kinds of country. Here again, the well-known Irving quick attachable type chute is shown in action by Canadian flyers whose skill and courage are recognized throughout the world. Here is another demonstration of the value of a dependable chute and the essential part it plays in swelling the list of Caterpillar Club membership. A plane is in distress over a vast wilderness. A forced landing is inevitable, and the flyers are thoroughly familiar with the source of the trouble. What's more, though they are forced to bail out, they will be able to transmit this valuable information on to others so that they may know how to cope with similar situations in the future. Forcing open the door of the cabin, a flyer bails out. The others will follow. Thus, new members are added daily to the exclusive Caterpillar Club. And now you will probably be interested in a few of our members. So let us take a look at a few of the pages from this book, taken from the archives. Of course, the photographs of only a few of our members are on hand, but many are being added daily. James H. Doolittle, then a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army Air Corps, saved his life with an Irving Air Chute on September 1st, 1929. And here is a telegram received from him. It is brief, but it tells a lot. Addressed to the Irving Air Chute Company, Buffalo, New York, it says, simply, plane failed, chute worked, and now meet Eugen Juss, a lieutenant in the Polish Air Force, whose life was also saved by an Irving Air Chute on December 22nd, 1929. And Lieutenant Amarillo V. Cortes of the Brazilian Navy. His life was saved near Rio de Janeiro on May 21st, 1930, when his airplane failed structurally. Another Caterpillar Club member, Lieutenant Nuri Olmez of the Turkish Air Force, whose plane collided with another in midair on October 20th, 1934, when he was forced to bail out. And we all know Tommy Harmon, First Lieutenant of the United States Army, whose life was saved twice by an Irving-type parachute, once over Brazil and again over China in the year 1943. And here is a more recent picture of General James Doolittle, whom we all respect and admire. On 2 occasions his life was saved by an Irving-type chute, and were it not for this fact, he might not have survived to bomb Tokyo and carry on the outstanding job which he performed in directing the efforts of our mighty air forces. Yes, our hats are off to these and the thousands of other members of the Caterpillar Club, whose membership now exceeds over 25,000. And our hats are off to the engineers, whose untiring research and outstanding skill have made our parachutes so dependable and safe. These, then, are a few of the interesting and informative highlights of the world's most exclusive club, whose sole membership qualifications consist of having saved one's life by an emergency parachute jump. More power to the famous Caterpillar Club.
Whatever class of aircraft is used, there's an Irving Air Chute of very design of either the seat, back, or chest type to meet all requirements. The canopy in general use is 24 feet in diameter, and the assembly weighs about 18 pounds, and normally will float a man down to safety at about 18 feet per second. Ever since air chutes have been successfully used, 95% of the lives saved in an emergency were done so by the use of Irving-type air chutes. Yes, Irving Air Chutes are used throughout the world and are truly life preservers of the air.